Dark Nexus. Tonight, it's Act 3, Chapter 101. We're picking up in the real world tonight. It's the end of day 24, mile 226, an hour after dusk on the 4th of Chthona. You've decided to take the night off from dreamwalking as your bodies work to fight off the physical effects of your bond with Jamandor that have slowly revealed themselves. Vic and Dabwick spent the afternoon tending to Vic and to Grip and to Dora, offering no mechanical aid, unfortunately, to anyone. And we're going to make some fortitude saves soon, but we ended last chapter with the promise of some detailed information on what exactly is happening to you, thanks to the knowledge Dora was able to pull directly out of Vic's subconscious with her wildly successful hypnotism session. So let's talk about it. Please, my friends, steel yourself for some truly bleak Lovecraftian bullshit. Oh, God. Are you ready?
This is not going to be my favorite Uncle Buttons story time, is it?
No, things are about to take a grim turn. Let me tell you about Jamandor's contagious lore ability. Any sentient being with the ability to dream that learns Jamandor's name, and this typically requires a creature to have heard it aloud or be exposed to it in writing, or, at the GM's discretion, succeeding at a knowledge or research check about topics closely related to Carcosa. Any such being immediately comprehends the Great Old One's nature as an insidious, immortal cosmic parasite, and a fungal seed blossoms deep inside their brain. We've experienced this. The creature is dazed for 1 round, fortitude negates, by the mental and physical shock of the impregnation, and takes 2 points of sanity damage, will for half. We have experienced that. From that moment on, the creature shares Jamandor's infectious dreams, and we are currently experiencing that. Additionally, every month, there's a flat 1% chance that such a creature can be targeted by the Elder God's nightmare spell-like ability, regardless of the distance between them. If the victim fails its saving throw against the nightmare, it becomes infected with a particularly virulent fungal blight. I won't go into that right now because it's not relevant yet, but basically Vic would know it means a pretty quick death by condrain and rising as a fungal undead creature. The creature subject to Jamandor...
Wait a minute. So 1% chance every month that rises every month? So
No.
First month 1,
It's
second
not.
month
It's always
2%?
1%.
It's always it's flat, not cumulative.
Got it. Okay.
The creature subject to Jamandor's contagious lore is also immediately affected with a modified and particularly potent version of the seed-borne consumption disease. No save. Here's how that works. 1 month after learning Jamandor's name, the victim's mind begins growing scattered and inattentive. At that point, and every month thereafter, so we have a frequency now, Johnny, they must succeed at a fortitude save or take 1d2 points of charisma damage. The DCs are 27 if Jamandor is slumbering, or 41 if he's fully awake in his current body. The charisma damage cannot be healed by any means, except if the victim succeeds at 3 consecutive monthly saves. The charisma damage may be healed. A successful casting of Remove Disease, Heal, or similar magic will result in the same. However, note, this does not indicate that the victim is cured of the disease, only that the progress has been temporarily suppressed, and it will resume every month thereafter. There is no cure for this disease when transmitted by contagious lore, except for the death of the inmost blot, which is something that cannot truly happen as long as even a single being in the universe, including Hester, knows its name. However, certain extraordinary interventions can impact the course of the infection, particular periods of dissociative madness, or the use of drugs or magic to dull mental function may, at the GM's discretion, suppress or slow the course of the disease. A miracle or wish, spell, or effect used specifically to cause the victim to forget all knowledge even slightly tangentially related to the existence of the Great One would possibly, at the GM's discretion, cause the disease to enter a dormancy state. Accepting the inmost blot as the subject of genuine worship may slow, speed, or alter the effects of the disease at the GM's discretion, and such worship may convey other benefits as well. If a creature's charisma score is reduced to 0 by seed board consumption, it falls into a feverish mental state for 24 hours, then dies, and rises as a fungal undead corpse puppet, driven to hear and obey Jamandor's commands while being eternally tormented by memories of their former lives, personalities, and desires. And then those undead creatures are carriers of a version of this disease that can be transmitted by touch, which allows the infection to spread to non-sentient life or to species that do not dream. And we saw a preview of this in the spider giraffe dream that we shared with the enemy in chapter 73. So, incurable, but very, very slow moving.
What was the charisma damage again for a failed
1d2.
fort save?
1d2. And Barnabas has made his save for the month. So
Right.
the one person we have right now that is charisma driven as a prime ability score is safe for the month. Again, the disease cannot be cured, but it can be suppressed. Making a series of saves over the course of 3 months will give you a window where you can heal that damage, or a successful remove disease, or a heal spell and the like. So that's going to be hard at this level because you're going to have to hit a DC 27 with a caster level check, which means Dab's going to have to roll a natural 20. However, as you get higher...
Or they use, if they get close with an action point, but then
Yeah.
they're burning an action point.
True. But as you get higher, heal does not necessitate a caster level check. So it's one of these things like it's going to progress very, very slowly. So far, so good with the person who it's going to really fuck up. And then as we get further along, it will become, I think, one more resource to manage. How are we going to keep on hand the ability to stop our personalities from draining away by what's happening to our bodies?
So what's really interesting is that the further this progresses, the less hold strength Tima has.
She's driven by charisma.
She is.
Fascinating.
The less time she is able to spend
Wow.
in control of the body.
Are there any other mechanics
I have
based
to
on
look
charisma?
it up,
But that's the big one.
That's the
the
big
number
one.
of rounds per day that she can appear.
yeah.
That's fascinating. Well, there's one way to close that door a little bit. Just give in.
Stop. Stop it. Speed, slow, alter.
At GM's discretion.
Bite me.
A lot of GM discretion I hear in that.
It also affects diplomacy,
It does.
which is I might be the only one of the main party that has that.
Well, Vic is leaning a little bit more
Yeah?
that way than
Well-
Gull or Roni ever
But
were.
mine is intelligence based.
Oh, all right. That's good.
Yeah,
So-
that is good.
So just let's get all the hypnotism out now.
Well, I still can.
While I still can.
Gross.
Yes. Very, very gross.
So right now our options are like cure disease, which would just stop it for a month.
It would mean you don't take damage this month, and if you had any damage from it, you would have the ability to cure it.
And then the next month it would start over again.
Exactly. Every time. Oh, what's that face, Katie?
It also affects the number of points in my Phrenic pool.
Oh, shit. Oh, that's rough. Yeah, it's not mechanically debilitating to Vic, but of course it's also not great to Vic. Grip is left pretty unharmed by that, but he doesn't have a lot of charisma. He doesn't have much of a window of charisma to lose.
Right.
No, I mean his charisma's only a 10. The only
Yeah.
thing he really uses it for is intimidate.
Oh, but yes, you do have intimidate. Of course,
Yeah.
yeah. That would fuck with that.
But I'm more concerned about
Barnabas.
and about just losing it and dying from it.
Yeah.
As he's proven he can do things other than intimidate because he's had to, because it's failed a few times. He's
Yeah.
not as confident about it, but still.
Yeah. So the good news is, again, so the frequency, meaning you're only going to have to deal with this particular save once per month, which now that we're kind of getting a sense of the timeline of this book, you're going to face this a few times this book, but at least It's not like an everyday situation or even an every week situation. And thank goodness it's not like a 1d8 charisma damage or something. Or drain, something that even if you manage to make the save, you have got no way yet to cure.
Can you repeat what remove disease does? 3 consecutive successful.
So a successful remove disease will allow for the victim's charisma damage to be healed. It basically suppresses the disease for a month.
That's not what heals the damage. Then you can do a restoration or something to.
Or
Okay, gotcha.
spend time.
Yeah, so those 3 remove diseases that Dabwick prepped before Vic recovered this knowledge, you now know there's not any point in casting it. Unless somebody fails a save and takes damage and you need to cure it. Everybody makes the save.
But it would be lesser restoration wouldn't work.
It would.
It would if you successfully remove the disease for the month.
Right.
But you also need a natural 20 to cast remove disease, right?
Right, in order
To
for
succeed,
it
yeah.
to
Yeah.
succeed.
And that's assuming that Jean Mandor is still asleep. If you ever get to the
Right.
point where you say, I got a 27, and I say, fail, he's woken up.
Great.
And is that this is maybe too much behind the curtain, but is that like a random thing, or do you track?
Lulz is going to wake him up, so
Lulz is
it'll
going to
help
wake
us
him up.
Figure that out.
That's a story thing.
Gotcha.
So
All
if
right.
we didn't have a good enough reason to have our foot on the gas pedal, we have an even better reason now.
Yeah. This time, it's personal. So, knowing what we're now sitting with, we still have to make these fortitude saves tonight. Is there anything that you want to do before that process begins? And I will, now that since you all nailed that check, we'll go ahead and roll the flat 1% check publicly every month as well too. I was just gonna do that behind the screen, but now it's like, no, you all can draw the target on yourself. We'll see what happens. Who wants to save first?
Are you going to do the flat one out of 100 first?
I'll have you each roll your fortitude save, and then the flat percentile you can roll as well.
All right. I'll go first.
All right, Vic's going first.
As this is a disease, do I get to use my alternate human racial trait to roll twice?
Oh yes, you absolutely do.
All right.
Hey, that's good.
I'll gladly
It's been
take
a hot
it.
second since we've dealt with disease.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back into the story.
Remember how well that worked for me last time?
Perfectly. Perfectly.
All right. Let's see what we get here. That's a 22.
Ooh, and your second roll?
Do I... Oh, and I get to... Oh, before I do... Oh, that's amazing. Okay. Oh, my gosh. And a 12. That's
Okay.
That's about what I was doing. Okay, I'm
So
going
we're starting
to...
with the 22 here.
I'm going to spend 2 points of my inspiration
Spend it.
and see if I can get that over the hump.
That's 1d6 you get to add.
That is 1d6. Oh, come on.
Come on.
Come on. Roll. Come on. Be good to me. Oh, God, it's a 2. It's only
24.
Oh, God, it's still not enough. I'd have
Spending
to
an action
just a
point.
50 point. Oh,
50-50 chance on the action point.
oh, God.
Such a sick twist.
I mean, I'm not going to not try to do it. I'm
You gotta
going to
fight.
try.
You gotta fight
yeah.
it.
It's what I would be trying to do. All right, come on. Come on. Come on, Dice
24, we're
Gods.
at
Give me
24.
something good. 6!
Yes!
Yes!
All right. So, Vic,
Sweating bullets, like just kind of like...
Vic does not take any constitution damage this month. Give me a percentile roll.
Charisma damage.
Charisma. Let's see if you roll a 1 on a percentile roll.
All right, come on, dice. That is...
How fucking awful would it be to make the check
And
and then fail this roll?
on your first roll.
68. I'm
68,
fine.
you're fine. Okay, 1 down, 2 to go. Who's next?
I'll go.
All right, here comes Gripper.
No, that's a 2 on the die. No point in any actioning there.
All right.
Man.
1 point of charisma damage.
But I'll roll that percentile.
Roll that percentile. How low could you possibly roll?
26.
All right, you're good. I mean, you're not great, but...
It's just if you see that dreaded 0-0,
Yeah.
you're
I
like,
know,
oh,
right?
gosh.
And here comes Dora.
Nope. Roll the 16.
All right. 1 point for Dora as well. And your percentile roll?
47.
Okay. So nobody's getting targeted by an Elder God's Nightmare spell-like ability this month. Just sharing their dreams is all. We've got 2 people who are suffering from the charisma damage. So, Dabwick, you've got 3 opportunities with 2 people to see if you can suppress the effects of this disease for the month, allowing you to cure them of this damage.
I'll start with Dora.
Okay. So we're looking for a DC 27 caster level check. What is it?
It's a 20.
Oh,
Not enough.
not enough.
No, because it's 27.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dora again.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah. And that's a 15 total. Sorry. And Gripper.
I mean, honestly, if you want to keep, it's more crucial for Dora. So,
Thank
right.
you.
Question about this.
Yeah.
Is this the sort of thing where Dabs is able to do this only now, or is it through the course of this next month?
Through the course of the next month. This is something Dabs can try every day as long as they want to prep the spells. So you are not stuck with what happens tonight.
This will
Okay.
just be something that we do.
There is some breathing room in this shitstorm.
All right, so the third
Oh.
caster level check did not work. So
Natural 1.
yeah,
Thank
it
you
just gets less
for
and less.
trying.
So
And thank you, Grip.
hey,
then, Paul, something for Dabs to negotiate is how many times they want to keep prepping this every day until they can batter down
Yeah.
at it. Okay. Thank you, Shamandora's Contagious Lore, for bringing just a little bit of bleakness into the evening. So, do we take our sick asses to sleep?
Yeah.
I think so.
Tonight, while shaking as Grip, Dora, and Vic's bodies fight to dull the pain and discomfort of this transformation happening inside of them, the inmost blot, once again, dreams your dreams. Praise. Praise. Let's find out what you dream. Take a moment. Center yourselves once again on what it feels like to enter and waken from a dream, that hazy transition, how hard it is to hold on to details and how easy it is to cling to the emotions, the feelings. But always remember that if you have a hyper-specific detail you want to toss in, be my guest. Last time, Grip dreamt of searching for something he'd lost, unsure of what it was, with someone that was either Vic or his brother. But the face kept changing, and the search was endless and fruitless. Vic dreamt of hunting down the Mad Poet's gifts with Tima and Ray and Rip, Tusk, and Vaticus, but the search led nowhere, and soon his teeth were falling out. Dora dreamt of traveling home with Tima. They reached their destination, but it was empty, except for a box. And Dabwick dreamt of a desperate hunt. It felt at first as though Dabs was the hunter. But in the end, they realized everyone that surrounded them was their enemy, and Dabwick was the prey. Tonight, you dream about the experience of learning something, a new skill. This dream feels almost like a shadowy training montage. Get yourself in that headspace. It's thin and faint and ephemeral. It's a little bit, for sure, about what you're learning, but maybe more about what the experience of adding to your skill set feels like, what it feels like to grow and to become more. Dabwick, what are you learning? What skill are you building? Is it something physical, something fiddly and technical? Broader than that, magical, intellectual? What type of skill are you training in this dream?
I'm learning how to move. I'm learning how to shift I'm learning how to get out of the way quick.
Dora, what are you learning?
I'm learning how to still my mind, focus, pay better attention, listen.
Grip, what are you learning?
Learning all these fucking knots. But I don't have any fingers at all in this dream.
Oh.
What about Vic?
Vic is trying to learn how to wrestle out of the grasp of things with tentacles and suckers and teeth and things like that, where they keep grabbing onto him and he's trying to escape out of them and failing.
Grip, who's teaching you? One person, multiple people, no people, yourself?
It's basically anyone who has worked with him on the ship thus far. But faces blur from one to another, and so it's indistinct, but it's the people that he has worked with thus far on the boat.
Vic, is someone trying to teach you how to escape the grasp of these type of entanglements, or is this something you're stuck learning on your own?
It's the formless spawn.
Is teaching you? Or is that what you're trying to escape from?
That's what I'm trying to escape from. So teaching is maybe not the right word, but that's the lesson that I'm taking away from it, is trying to
It's
escape.
practical training.
Yeah. I'm having a nightmare of being grabbed and eaten by this thing over and over and over again.
Dabwick, is someone teaching you how to move and shift and get out of the way?
No, I'm alone in a alley. It's dark. I'm by myself. Practicing.
How old are you?
I'm younger. I'm new to this.
Dora, is this a solo exercise, or is someone walking you through methods?
No one's walking me through methods, but Tima is asking questions constantly. Constant questions. One question after another. What is that? Why is it blue? Where did that thing come from? Who is your mother? Who is the rest of your family? Just constantly barraging me with questions, because she knows that my curiosity will get the better of me eventually.
And why are you working on this skill, Dora? Do you want to, or do you need to?
I have to. If I don't, all is lost.
Grip, why? Why attempt to learn how to tie knots with no fingers?
Because there's got to be something I can do that is productive and not destructive.
Wow. Dabwick, why? Why are you working on this? Why now?
It's got to keep me safe. Don't know where anything's going to come at me. Got to be ready. I'm surrounded by enemies.
Well, the answer to this may be obvious in Vic's case, but why are you working on this particular skill, buddy?
Because it's trying to eat me.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to survive.
This is about survival.
Just trying to survive.
Is it the formless spawn, or is it the formless spawn?
Oh, I think it's the latter.
Something interrupts your training. What is it, Dora?
A knock on a door.
Dabwick.
A sudden shaft of light.
Something interrupts your training, Grip. What is it?
The sound of the sail ripping behind him.
And Vic.
The ragman's laughter.
Was this dream real? Did it happen? Or was it true? Do you want it to have happened? Dabs, was your dream real or true?
That dream was real.
Vic.
It felt real to me.
Grip.
In reality, I'm not bad at tying the knots, but this feels true.
And Dora.
It's not real, but it is true.
And then you all wake before dawn with a familiar feeling, one that comes either after one of those dreamless nights that makes one almost enamored of death, or one of those nights of terror when phantoms sweep through the chambers of the brain. As your eyes start to open, dark, fantastic shadows crawl into the corners of the hold and crouch there, waiting. The thought of waking, truly waking, is almost unbearable. But then above, there's a sound of men and women going about their work. And by degrees, the forms and colors of things are restored to them, and the world remakes itself in its familiar patterns. Out of the unreal shadows of the night, the life you know comes back to you, and you have to resume it where you had left off. You have to. Despite however much some secret corner of your mind might wish your eyelids might have opened this morning upon a world that had been refashioned. A world in which things were different, or had different secrets and troubles. A world in which the past carried with it the weight of neither regret nor obligation. But this life is not such a life. This life persists. It's the morning of the 5th day of Chthona, day 25 of our journey. It's a little warmer today, low 40s in fact. Despite the overcast sky, the temperature is feeling almost slightly invigorating. It's a little reminder, a little ray of light, reminding you that even though you head deeper and deeper into the coldest months of the year, you're also inching slowly on our map towards warmer lands, closer and closer, eventually, to the equator. Let's figure out the plan for today. I know research is the next main item on the agenda, so I went and put into our shared downtime document all the crunch for all 7 research projects for the gifts. This will tell you what languages are required for each, what checks can be used, and whether or not the materials grant a bonus on research checks or not. Why don't you all take a look over those, and we can discuss a little bit. And just to review some of the fundamentals of research, since it's been a hot second since we've walked through those. Attempting a research check requires an 8-hour period of work, and you cannot take 10 or 20. Each 8-hour period of research, help me remember this, Katie, grants a cumulative +1 bonus on subsequent checks. Right? Up to 2 additional characters can aid a primary researcher. To be the primary researcher, you have to be able to read at least one of the associated languages. If the primary researcher doesn't read all of the languages for the particular project, they must add a secondary researcher or researchers until the point that all languages are known by the duo or trio attempting the check. The primary researcher chooses which skill they want to use to make the research check, and the 1 or 2 secondary researchers can make their aid roll using either check of their choice. And I have made the ruling that we can, at our table, on a day where there's no real-world combat or adventuring, use 2 8-hour blocks to make research checks. And as you're looking through that list of languages and skill checks, do note that while there are 1 or 2 that Dora could research entirely on her own, she cannot do them all. Vic will be needed for some, and I think actually Dabwick has to be involved with the feline tail research because of the druidic language component. For any project that involves the languages that Grip knows, he can even sit in and attempt to aid if he wants. It'll be a straight-up intelligence check, but only DC 10. And we know how Grip loves books.
So I have to have one of the languages listed?
Yep. Okay. Yep. So I know you are all talking about maybe researching both by day and in the dream at the Forsaken Caravanserai to try to reduce the amount of real-world time spent on this. Why don't you all take a look at that list and let's figure out a plan for the day.
But I don't have Necrol, and that's 2 of them.
I do.
Yep.
As long as I've got the language, I can just do an intelligence check.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do also have Skim, so
So do I.
do we have to cast it more than once? Since it only lasts 4 caster level hours?
Skim specifically says grants you a +8 bonus on research checks in a library, so that would be 1 casting per session.
Great.
So if it's history, when researching, you're considered to have skill focus for that knowledge skill when determining what die you roll to reduce a library's knowledge points. So the history ones I should definitely take.
Because you'll knock them out real fast.
Yeah.
We're also getting to be high enough level where people might actually be able to do D12s on their own. If the skill check you are rolling is a skill that is a class skill and you have at least 5 ranks in, you can roll a d12 as well. So that might be Dabs.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Vic for a bunch, is it?
No.
No.
It's not going to be me for any.
Definitely me.
So you'll have that going on for not just history, I think, but maybe for the
History,
others as well.
Arcana, and Planes.
Great. So that is like a nice little boost at low levels.
Yeah.
At this point, as long as you're still putting ranks into knowledge, you can kind of get that in other ways. Complexity-wise, they're all DC 20, and some of them grant a knowledge bonus because the books are somewhat helpful. Most of them don't, I believe. And we won't find out how many knowledge points are in them until we start making checks.
Okay, we have them all assigned.
Okay. Is this a day where Vic and Dora do this for 16 hours and the other two do it when they're not doing their shifts? Or is this a day where other stuff is happening and Dora is mostly focusing on it?
Dora has nothing else to do but this, but it might be good if she was lead on one, secondary on the other.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then also, is tonight a night where we're going back to the dream? Do we want to try Vic's plan of jumping in and see if we can bang it all out in what would be a single night on the real world?
Does anybody feel like we shouldn't try that?
We should understand the boundaries of the dreamlands as much as we can, not loving the idea of doing it in a place where the formless spawn is just wandering around. But maybe that room with the Yellow King is safe somehow. I don't know. Might as well try it and find out. Right?
Let's try.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm game.
So then, what's the course of the day? Vic, are you going to spend your day researching, or are you going to research and do something else?
I am going to get in one more day on a new extract that I'm working on to bring it up to 6 days. And then I will help in whichever way, if it's easier for me to be the lead on something or assist you, whichever you prefer. Dora.
Maybe we should see how my research goes. If I blow it, I'll probably want to spend the second
Yeah.
shift on it again. And now that I've experienced in a different campaign how badly blowing your research check can fuck you up.
Yeah. So this is the mechanic where if you roll a 20 on the skill check, that's like a critical. You get to roll double damage against the knowledge points. But as Katie and I experienced to our chagrin in another campaign, if you roll a natural 1, you end up adding back a whole bunch of knowledge points.
You go down a rabbit hole
Yeah.
that is not helpful and messes you up, makes it harder to get back to where you were.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It really is like you are engaged in combat against the difficulty of finding the information you need.
Researchers and the facts.
Yep.
This is exactly true in this world and in this world.
So, morning block, Dora, do you want to continue to work on...
Yeah, the Viscount Signet Ring.
Dabs works in the morning, Grip does not. Vic is going to do some spell research. Do you want to try to aid? Because this is one that you can aid on, it looks like. It's got Taldane.
Oh, yeah, I can.
Want to spend
give
the
it a
morning
try.
with some books?
Sure.
All right, sounds like we got a plan. This is the one that we've already begun. There are only 9 knowledge points remaining. We'll start with Grip to see if he aids Dora on her check. This is just a DC 10, in your case, just straight up intelligence check.
Fuck me.
Oh, was it like 9? Oh, fuck me, it's the natural 1?
That makes it a -1.
Oh, God.
I got it. No, actually a 0, because that's a 1 minus 1 is 0.
For the first time in his short life, he's not helpful
In
with
a
this
library.
in a library.
Unbelievable. Dora's very confused.
There's like one word he just can't fucking get past. It's like, what?
Fuck is that word? Fuck is that word?
Dora looks him up like an hour later, and he's still like, what is that? What is that? I don't know.
Conflagration.
Confluence?
That's it. That's the word I was thinking of.
So, Dora, you'll be making this check on your own, and you're making history.
Making history, I get a +8 for skim and +2 for having done one day.
+1 for having done
+1 for having done one day. So this is +9 to whatever I roll.
Nice.
So 41.
Well, so then you'll be rolling D20 plus 5 for your intelligence plus 4 for your...
D20 or D12?
D12, thank you. D20 is what I said, but what I meant was D12.
And you said D12 plus 5 for my intelligence
Plus
and
4 more. 9.
plus 9.
Oh, you cannot fail to...
Yeah.
Get the rest
Yeah,
of them.
great. All right.
But I'm going to roll it anyway
Roll
because
it.
you know how I like to.
I do know that about you.
19.
Well, you clobbered that
I
library.
ground it into dust.
In the process of researching the signet ring, you learn that Lowles discovered that the mad poet was particularly fond of collecting the small personal trinkets of powerful Dreamland's rulers. Learned that Tima had landed on this Viscount Pietro Brellin from Celophaeus, a city where time within the walls stands still. Through the course of this morning session, Dora learns that Viscount Brellin is known for hosting courtly and lavish events, but events tinged with occasionally uncomfortable elements. Those wishing not to lose the Viscount's favor are advised to ignore any unusual happenings and to never mention Brellin's, quote, condition. No more information learned. Knowing what part of the notes you're looking for now, Dora uncovers notes in Tima's hand that Lowell's crew visited at noon and the sun remained at its zenith, as advertised, even though Lowell spent hours in private negotiation with the Viscount for his ring. And then at the end of this research, at 0 knowledge points remaining, Dora learns the proper phrase that will allow her to use the Dreamland's excursion occult ritual to travel directly to Brellin's palace. Successful morning. During that time, Vic is working on his spell research. Dabs is taking their shift with the crew. In the afternoon, what are we shifting to research-wise?
We could do Night Hag, Tricorn, Red-Webbed Foot.
Do you want to try to knock out Red Web Foot, or do you want
You've got Dabs now, too. Dabs is available this time if you wanted to jump
Right,
into
but
Feline
I have
Tail.
to be with Dabs.
Oh,
and
true.
I have to be with Vic and on all 3 of those.
Well,
Or
you two
Vic
could
and Grip could do Ghoul
Grip's-
royalty research.
Grip's working.
Oh, right.
but I could look at it on my own.
True.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Do you want to split?
Split the party.
It's research.
Don't go into
Stop.
different books.
So Dabs and I could do Feline Tail while Vic does.
Skull of Ghoul royalty.
Fun. It is a reading party down. Hang on. We've got, for the afternoon block, we also have Barnabas and Stasi available to us.
Stasi
Knowledge
can help
religion.
Anybody.
Taldane.
The languages will be the problem with
that's
those
the
two.
problem, right? Yeah. Hang on.
With Barnabas.
But I
Because they're-
speak Necrol.
Because their backstories. You have to have all the languages covered. As long as all the languages are covered.
In addition to Taldane and Scald, Barnabas also
Haldane
has
and
Sylvan.
Verizian.
You,
Oh,
Barnabas could help us with Feline Tail.
yep.
Yeah.
Is there anything in these books that brushes up on Jamandor?
No. You have found no reference to that name in these particular set of books.
Okay. So yes, Stasi could take the lead
On Skull of Ghoul royalty.
on Skull of Ghoul royalty.
And then Dabs will take the lead on Feline Tail, aided by Dora and Barnabas.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun. Hey, let's start with Debwick leading a research project. Have they spent time in libraries, or is this new for them?
I think this is new, but working on druidic texts is something that you have to do when you're a druid. So, let's see what we can learn about the Feline Tail.
So, between the 3 of you, we have Druidic, Sackfroth, and Sylvan covered, right?
Yes.
And every single one of you speaks at least one of those languages, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So let's start with Barnabas's aid. Barnabas, you can aid with either geography or nature.
They're both the same, so let's say geography for fun. That is a success. That's a 23.
Nice. That'll be a +2 to Dabs' roll. And Dora.
Dora's just making a straight up intelligence check because
Sure. Yeah.
she's not ranks in either of those things. 15.
15. All right. So, Dabwick, you get +2 from Barnabas, you get +2 from Dora, and you get +2 because these books are actually somewhat helpful. So you're going to make a knowledge nature check and add 6 to your result.
Great. That's a 31 total.
Oh, great.
Sweet.
Just to confirm, knowledge nature is a class skill for you. Yes?
Correct.
And you have at least 5 ranks in it.
Correct.
Great. So now you're going to roll 1d12 plus your intelligence modifier plus 2.
5 on the die, +1, +2 is 8.
Very good. You have knocked down 8 of 25 knowledge points. So during the course of this afternoon, Dabwick learns that Lowell's discovered that the Mad Poet prizes trophies from highly dangerous or unusual predators. And in the hunt for a rare and particularly deadly predator, Tima learned of the mysterious pards, felines with blue and purple tails that live only in the Dreamland's enchanted wood. Let's switch over to the Skull of Ghoul royalty. So Vic is aiding on this one?
Correct.
And between the two of you, we have Necrol and Taldane covered, correct?
Correct.
Each of you speaks at least one of those languages.
Correct.
Amazing. What check are you using to roll for Vic, Johnny? It could be Dungeoneering or
It
Religion.
will be Dungeoneering to assist.
Great.
23.
Success. Now, what is Stasi rolling with?
Religion.
So we're making a check with a +2 bonus from Vic.
Good work on the bonus there because I got 19, which makes 21.
Okay, so and this is a project that does not have an inherent knowledge bonus add. So you just were able to clear the threshold. So you are trained and you have at least 5 ranks. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you will roll 1d12 plus intelligence, and that's it.
It rolled an 11
Really?
for 13.
That was awesome.
Amazing. During the course of the day, so this also has 25 knowledge points. You've knocked it down to 12. During the course of the day, Vic and Stasi learned that Lowell's discovered that the Mad Poet is obsessed with undeath, and Tima thought he would appreciate a great token of undead power. Tima believed that mining the histories of the great Lenghoul civilizations in the Dreamlands would yield a relic worthy of hunting down, and she grew obsessed with the odd and tragic history of the necropolis of Iguz Kais. Iguz Kais. And that brings us to the end of our workday. Was there a scrying you were wanting to do today, Dabwick? I know at one point you had talked about attempting to scry Lowell's, in addition to your ongoing project of keeping track of the. Oh, let's
Do
get
we need a sailor check?
We gotta get a sailor check.
Sailor check.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I wish I could roll. I could have rolled this on the save. If I had rolled this for his save, I would have had a 27 exactly. But I got a 20 for my sailing.
Amazing. So this is your first day working on sailmaking with Reuben.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. So obviously it goes very, very well, helping to smooth over some of the rough patches that that relationship began with.
Fantastic.
I love Grip.
And are we scrying today?
Dabwick would go to Vic and ask, would you prefer I'll be scrying for Lowell's or for this witch with the flea?
Or Mun?
Yeah, mine.
Or Mun? What you think?
I think the more we can find out about Lowell's, the better we are right now. What do you think, Dora?
I agree, but if he's with Mun, that might help too, and Dabs might have a better chance at succeeding against Mun since he knows him.
That's not a
Better?
bad idea.
Since we have like a physical thing from Lowell's, is one easier to do than the other?
Having a body part, lock of hair, bit of nail, etc., which we have, is going to apply a -10 to any save Lowell's makes.
Well then, that answers
I mean-
it, doesn't it?
That feels like an obvious answer then.
Yeah. All right.
So just before meditation, Dabwick gathers the group around the side of the ship, begins the hour-long incantation to call forth the viewing screen almost. This is form you part the fog and mist on the surface of the lake and create this viewing, like it's like a little monitor that then turns into what feels like a completely transparent window when you reach success, like you're looking right down through a window into wherever your target is. I gotta find his will save modifier. Where is it? See? All right, here we go. -10. DC is what?
19.
That's a big old fail.
Wow.
So it's just before dusk.
Where we are, anyway.
True. Let me make this a perception check. The mists part on the surface of Lake Incarthen, and you all look over the edge as Dabs funnels their focus and energy into this oval-shaped space that grows less mist-covered, then less wavy, flattens out, and suddenly you are looking down on Hazerton Pragmus Lowles the Fourth, and he looks very different from the version you all just met with. Has not taken care of himself. His skin is sallow and pale. He is much larger, looks much more sedentary than the version of Lowles that you met inside the dream. He's wrapped up in all of these dark furs, and he has the same square, four-cornered hat pulled down over his ears. His beard is long and much more gray than you saw just last night. He is sitting on the deck of a very sleek, very fast-moving, kind of like picture like a yacht. So you're looking at a small, well-made vessel designed for speed with a very intricate series of sails that are harnessing the power of the wind. He is clearly on a river, not the lake, and because you can see two shorelines. Off to one side, you see what looks like a shoreline, mostly cleared of trees, some beach, some sandy beach, some rocky beach. But the other side is a massive wall of primordial forest. I picture that amazing sequence in, is it Two Towers?
Two Towers.
When they first
They
hit.
stumble
Yes,
upon
they
the edge
walk
of the
into
forest.
like
Fanghorn.
ancient tree
Yeah.
growth. That's what you see on one side. So clearly, on the river, you would assume at this point the Glass River, which is what
Yep.
will lead you to the Selen. And he is huddled in his furs on the back of this vessel, just staring out with kind of an unreadable but sour expression behind him. He's clearly obsessed with and contemplating what he's left behind. And then as you look down and watch him, he reaches his hand up and just scratch at the back of his neck. And I think you would see, because you got a good view on him with this scrying sensor, there is a literal trail of fungus that extends out of his ears to cover his ears and then coat the back of his neck. And it's this sickly, like ashen purple color. And it looks carpety, like thick, mossy.
Because he's had this for years.
And he's accepted it.
Yeah, he's cultivating it. He is doing one of those at
encouraging
GM's
it.
discretion situations.
Slow, speed, alter.
From this view of him, you can see that there are some crew around working the vessel. He's not speaking to any of them, and they all seem to be avoiding him. He's literally emo sulking at the back of this vessel, staring back to the past.
Are we able to make any kind of check in terms of looking at the shores on either side to figure out
like
where they
beach
are?
and that forest?
Or could we ask the captain to look, since she goes up and down this river all the time?
Yes. Seems to be on quite a bit of a decline there. Well, Debs, here's my guess. The Rasmarins did the majority of the clearing of terrain on their side of the river, close to the port city of Zer. And that's spelled improbably X-E-R. I know the area
She's
well.
right, you know.
I know the area well. This will be a stop we have to make. I have to moor there and pay the tithes. So my guess is he's either approaching or just having left Zer, which would put him a little bit under 2 weeks ahead of us. It's a very fast ship.
Relation to the Callous Lake?
You would put it about a third of the way down the Glass River.
That's the ship or Zer?
That's where Zer
That
is.
is
Okay.
much closer than I thought he'd be.
Captain, knowing how far they are ahead of us and knowing roughly how fast we're going, do you think that we have a chance of catching them?
Well, over the 1,000 miles we have left to go, yes, it's quite possible. It is quite possible we could close ground.
That is very good news.
Thank you, Captain.
Endeavour to avoid all delays if possible.
Dabs, thank you so much.
I'm glad this was helpful.
Yeah. All right, is everybody ready to go to sleep and do some more book reading?
Dora is.
So, are we thinking we're just going to go to that office where Dream Lowell's was? Or where do we think we can hole up to do this?
Dora's very intrigued by the Yellow King and wants to spend time with him.
He did seem to get friendly even after we attacked him, but
An idealized version of him. We'll be curious to see if he remembers us when we come back, or if he's reset somehow.
would you like me to be a cat person again? That seemed to have some effect.
Not a great one, though.
Depends on what you're looking for.
I would hold it in your pocket in case we need it.
But maybe don't let them know that you're a halfling.
I'll just be a human then. That makes sense. So, meditation, right? Preparing to go yet again through the ritual that takes them down that staircase into the darkness and back to the dreamlands, searching for the first of the long list of impossible items they will have to turn into gifts for the mad poet who wields incredible power and perhaps the answer to their friends' pasts. Dabwick pockets a pair of river stones and prepares to meditate. And they think about Sam, Aliana, and Chet too. But Sam, now that the memory has been unlocked, the truth is horrible to recall. Dabwick had returned to business as usual so naturally that no one batted an eye as they gave back borrowed items and settled debts between Ulf Ashgrove and Doltek Furthert and re-established relationships. And though they never recall seeing my Acnean Mun's servant ever again, they listed Mun's residence as a reference, and that provided a boost in business for a fancier class of folk. And that reminds Dabwick that they'd heard. Aliana's mother had become despondent. She'd abandoned her post and made plans to relocate her family back to Kyonin. Dabwick heard of this. They had come by to say farewell, maybe in hopes of apologizing. But when they asked for Aliana, the door was closed in their face. At the time, this only proved to Dabwick that something irrevocable had come between them, and the young friend didn't want to see them. Only now do they understand what had really happened. Chet surely was noticed missing after several days, but likely presumed dead or deserter after several more. There just aren't resources to go after every single man who abandons their post or goes missing or turns up dead. So while Dabwick had allowed themselves to forget about Chet, the Harbor Watch likely had as well. But what was there to say about little Sammy? No one noticed that Sam was missing. No one really knew Sam but that little group. Really, just Dabwick, who had forgotten about what had happened. No one mourned for Sam. No one understood what had happened to them. And Dabwick finds himself sobbing quietly. So as they prepare for the evening and the nightmares ahead, they focus on little Sam, the Sliver, their friend who they loved and had forgotten. And they vow to make their way back to that painting.
Then after preparing, on the evening of the 5th of Chthona, we gather back in the hold. The same crew, sitting in a circle around the candle, passing around the miniature staircase. As Dora begins incanting for 50 minutes. The staircase is making its way around the circle. Let's start with an Arcana check, Katie. +5.
30.
Staircase grows heavier and heavier, larger and larger. Second Arcana check.
27.
It's 3 times its size now at this point, passing around as you each feel every single one of its 70 steps. Knowledge planes.
27.
Larger and larger, harder and harder to lift. It continues. The strain of lifting it and passing it to the next person in the circle gets more difficult, more intense, as Dora's voice is cracking from the strain of continuous speaking for 50 minutes. Knowledge planes.
Fail. 24.
She's cracking under the strain, but it continues growing heavier and heavier. The ritual has not faltered. One final check.
36.
And at the end, pushed to the limit of her body and her brain, Dora just lets the staircase fall out of her hand. It's bigger than her now, and bam! Slams on the deck of the ship. The air grows hazy and indistinct. There is a staircase into nothingness. Each of you split yourself into one version of yourself, descends the staircase, and shoom. You're outside of the Forsaken Caravanserai. It looks exactly as you left it. The sun is at high noon. Any differences in your appearances of your lucid dream body from the last time we were here? Grip had given himself a full sets of hands of fingers.
I think this time he is wearing a bandana.
Yeah.
That I think he's seen some of the other sailor folk wear.
Oh, he's okay. So he's taking.
He's going sailorly rather than desertly this time.
Nice. And Dora.
I think Dora actually attempts to imagine herself younger. Maybe using reference from psychometry readings where Tima was younger. I don't know that she's got it quite right.
Yeah, she lands somewhere in the middle, huh?
It's an experiment.
And she looks to the three of you. Based on her reference, she looks more like Tima. I think we think or want to think of Tima being defined by the emotion that the person expresses, but the way we use our face, the way we live our lives, the way we use our bodies to go about our daily lives has an impact on our face, on our visage, to use one of my favorite words in the universe. And you're looking at a slightly younger, more Tima-ish Dora, which I can imagine is probably a little off-putting at first to some of you. What about Vic?
Vic appears looking as much like Vic right now in this. He's trying to imagine himself as if he just stepped off of the ship's hold.
Solidify a sense of reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just going here to research this thing. That's why I'm here right now.
Yeah.
It's not to investigate this place. It's to do this thing and try to get a jump.
A success. It is. You find the closer you want to stay to the state of who you were when you began the journey down the stairs, the easier that is to manifest. So he looks crisply and sharply exactly as you had seen him at the end of the day, with the wrinkle lines in his forehead from all of the work and then 8 hours of reading, and he looks exactly like he was when you last saw him before you briefly died and came here. What about Dabs?
Dabwick appears as a tall, slim, adult human with a shock of reddish hair at the top.
Fun.
Yeah.
You materialize outside the caravanserai. It looks as you left it. Make your way around to the rubble pile and head up, or should we start a fight with the formless
Stop.
Let's not.
You climb up the pile of rubble. Make your way down the long, open veranda. You open the door, and the Yellow King is standing at the desk looking down at it. His head raises when you open the door. Oh, well, I thought you were leaving.
We came back. We've got some research to do.
You left?
Yeah.
And you were in the real world.
Isn't this the real world?
I'll have it on reliable authority. He gives you a sassy look. That this is the Dreamlands, Roni.
It's Vic.
Vic. Who's your new friend? Oh, this must be the actual form of the cat.
For now.
Oh. So Paul gave me a sassy look, which I assume Davwick is giving to the Yellow King, who takes like a stagger step backwards, back against the wall. Understood. You brought research materials with you.
Yes.
May I set up some workspaces for you?
That would be lovely. Thank you.
And he gets busily to work, clearing, just a huge gesture, just clears all the shit off the desk.
Because it's meaningless.
Because it's entirely meaningless. And
How's his shoulder?
Oh my! So he's still near death. He is exactly as you last left him. And for him, over the course of this conversation, as you're getting set up, you focused your minds to return, and he had this brief experience of you sort of like maybe walking towards the door, and then suddenly you were walking right back in. Like no time at all has passed for him. Effectively no time.
So the time that we have spent in the Dreamlands so far has been minutes. It hasn't even been an hour.
Maybe close to an hour, because that first time you really did do a lot of walking around and investigating, kind of careful moving through spaces. But yeah, for sure.
Before we knew death lived here.
Before this place means death. And so then the plan is to hunker in and research in the Dreamlands.
I wonder if he could be of any assistance.
What languages do you know?
Abyssal, Aklo, Ancient Assyriani, Taldane, Hallett, Varisian. I am an archivist. If he had glasses, if he had his purple specs on, he would be pushing them up his nose like a cocky jerk.
But kind of a sweet cocky jerk, this one.
Sure.
Can we make a sense motive? Do we trust him to help us with research?
That is do you want to roll it up?
21.
As Dora is taking this time while he's helping getting the room set up, she's seeing someone who is almost nakedly excited to see other people, that he considers his friends and to help them with an activity. That the focus of, let's pull these side tables over here. We can make one area here. I assume we're going to try to do at least 2 of these projects at a time. That this is filling him with a sense of hope and life. Yeah, I think that, based on that role, I think Dora feels
She
very
was
comfortable.
inclined to think that already based on their conversation the last time we were here. Is that this is the good parts of Wolves, or not the good, but the curious parts, the scholarly, the archivist parts.
Vic wants to, if you are kind of looking like you're leaning towards asking him to do that,
Yeah.
Vic goes, yeah, Dora, I got an idea. Maybe our friend, the King in Yellow, can help me look at...
It's the Yellow King.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Noticeably uncomfortable being called that as well.
Two different things.
There's 2 different things in his brain. He doesn't seem to be able to remember that the King in Yellow is something bad, but being called that, even though he's taken the moniker the Yellow King, seems to disturb him.
Maybe you can assist me with the Skull of Ghoul royalty.
Oh, this sounds exciting.
thinking that I'm going to step back and see what he does as if I don't know any of it.
You're going to let him lead?
I'm going to let him lead and basically let him do the exact same thing first and see whether or not he's legit.
Great, so Vic and the Yellow King will work on the Skull of Ghoul royalty.
Can Grip work on that too? You speak Taldane, right?
I do.
Then,
You'll
Okay,
keep working on the feline tail, right?
So that is
Yep.
Yellow King in the lead, aided by Vic and Grip, and then Feline Tail with Dabs in the lead and Dora aiding. All right, let's make some Feline Tail rolls.
okay.
Dora, give me an aid here.
Success.
Very good. So, Dabs, you will be making your nature check. You get to add +2 from the library itself, +2 from Dora, +1 for the cumulative amount of research.
Oh, nice.
Total of +5.
That's a 19 on the die plus 5 is 24.
That is success. So you can roll 1d12 plus your intelligence modifier.
That would be 9 more points total.
Oh, wow. Taking it down to 8. During the course of this first block, Dabwick learns that Lols and Tima had settled on seeking the advice of the Zoogs in the Enchanted Wood. They are carnivores and particularly enjoy feline flesh, and Tima assumed they would know where to find pards. And notes in Tima's hand seemed to indicate that they had successfully palavered with the creatures, and they all joined together to take down a mated pair. Riptusk claimed the killing blows. Still a few knowledge points to knock off on that one. Skull of Ghoul royalty. Let's start with Vic's aid. You can use Dungeoneering. Or what's the other one on that one?
Religion.
Religion.
Sticking with Dungeoneering. 26.
And let's make Grip's check.
Hey, that's a 17 for a 16.
In the dream, he knows the books. Very good. So +2, +2, +2 from the library, and +1 since you've been working on it. So that's +7 to whatever the Yellow King rolls right now. Dungeoneering or religion?
Oh, he's an archivist too, so gets the 12 no matter what.
36. Vic is probably relieved to know that not only is he actually working at this, he's incredibly fast and good at it. It doesn't seem like he possesses the ability to make leaps of logic in this material on his own. You're watching someone who's doing exactly what you did yesterday, Dora's doing now, Dabs is doing now. You're watching somebody follow the trail inside this with no evidence of him going, oh, right, I remember, and jumping ahead to something else. He's doing the work, but he's very good at doing the work.
But he's also not going like, oh, so I'm following this point to here, and then I'm going to trick you and instead take you to this point.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah, and knowing that since you were there the entire time and watching this very, very carefully, he's just damn good at it, and he seems to be working hard at it.
Great.
Exists in this AP for parties without a good researcher.
We'll come back to that 1 second. So that was 36. So that is... He takes 19 knowledge points off of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
And ends it. Gets to the end.
Nice.
So at the end of this period, Vic and Grip learn from the Yellow King's lead. Oh, right. So this was the one we were learning about, the Lengul civilizations, Igus Kai's. Igus Kai's has a long history of bejeweling and enchanting the skulls of their greatest kings and queens. And the skull of their most famous monarch, Queen Chalthos, was even set with Leng rubies. Notes in Tima's hand indicate that the crew chose the route of stealth for this mission, and the Triangle Man successfully snuck into the vault where the skull of Queen Chalthos was kept and stole it right out from underneath the ghouls. And by the end of this 8-hour period, you have learned the proper phrase that allows you to use the Dreamlands excursion ritual to land directly in Igus Kai's.
Igus Kai.
Does Vic
so
is
cool.
Vic feeling good about this collaboration?
I think so. I mean, can I do like a sense motive check
Yeah,
to, again, make
absolutely.
sure that everything that he's saying is legit?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
And I think fair game for Paul and Robert, since you have not yet made this specific check over the course of this day, just give me a sense motive, see if you roll anything interesting here.
No.
Nope.
I mean,
I always like to ask.
interesting.
Robert would very much like to roll a metagaming suspicion check.
Oh,
But I don't know that that's a thing we can do.
18.
18.
It's a 22 for Dabwick.
Okay. Yeah, Vic is picking up what he's seeing, which is no attempt to obfuscate or slow the process down. Everything that he's coming up with, as verified by you, seems to be true. No particular gut feeling any which way. Dabs is, I think, left with some of the same feeling that Dora has, that, gosh, he sure seems to want to help.
Lowell's GPT.
Hey, YK.
Oh boy.
Oh, my gosh, I don't remember the last time I was called a nickname. It may have been in my young... I don't know if you remember my mother. Oh, the most
Namira.
wonderful, attentive woman you could possibly imagine. She had a name for me. What was it?
Lolsey.
No, Hazzy. You were so close. It was Hazzy. She called me Hazzy. And I really appreciated the attention.
Yeah, I was thinking, I felt bad about shooting you earlier, and I wondered if you would like some help with that shoulder.
It's been very awkward to perform this work for you, with you, my friend, while bleeding over the materials. Yes, I would greatly appreciate some fucking healing.
So I'm going to treat deadly wounds on him.
Okay, so spend about an hour working with him.
working with
Don't worry
him.
about the roll for night now. Let me tell you this, y'all. This is a wildly clever idea that the AP has absolutely no expectation would be done this way. And I've been thinking for days about a reason I could possibly have to fuck you over on this. Honestly, I don't see any. If you stay in this room and you work on these materials, you're going to get this all done and wake up in the morning. So we don't even have to make any rolls. We'll tell ourselves a story about, looking at this, you probably spend about 2 or 3 full days doing this. And you find, of course, that you need food. You make the discovery that the food that the Yellow King is able to conjure, even though he can conjure cups of tea for you, he can conjure a plate of food, it is real and solid and nourishes him. The instant you touch it, it just turns into nothing. And with even a little experiment with the Gem of Seeing, it's not that it's an illusion, it's just that it doesn't exist to you. So over the course of this couple of days, you're going to get hungry, you're going to get tired, but if you push through this, I would like to reward this very excellent idea and say, we've finished the research. Let me tell you the rest of it, and then we can move on to what we want to do with that information.
Hey,
Yes.
yum.
Hell yes.
Okay.
At least we have water.
Yes. Thanks to the decanter.
Yes.
Do the rations and stuff that we have, would those actually nourish us here?
So you have rations.
Where did we get
They're in
those?
my
Show me your
bedroll.
sheet, Johnny.
They're
All
wrapped
right.
up in my bedroll.
Good to know for next time.
sheet.
Okay.
Bedroll.
We've learned the signet ring research. Feline tail. All that is left, Dabs was so close. All that is left is learning the proper passphrase that takes you directly to the enchanted wood. That is done. Skull of Ghoul royalty is done. Let's talk about the greenstone idol of a water lizard. Lowell's suspected that little would impress the mad poet more than a relic tied to one of the elder gods. He and Tima tried to identify the least dangerous one to research and settled on Bokrug, the great old one of storms and revenge. Tima learned that Bokrug lives in a vast unnamed lake in an area of the Dreamlands known as Manar. A race of alien creatures founded the city of Ib on its shores and worshipped Bokrug there. An idol of green stone, supposedly infused with some of his power, was central to their rites. In a quasi-historical dissertation, you learn how Ib was destroyed by proud and warlike humans disgusted by the aliens' bizarre rites and unusual physiognomy. The victorious humans were from a nearby city called Sarnath. After destroying Ib, the folk of Sarnath carried away the strange green idol and housed it in one of their temples, but the idol disappeared from the temple soon thereafter. Now, Tima's notes are very sketchy about the plan that the original crew had for this mission. Find idol? ? Survive ? Seems to be about the extent of what they cooked up, other than leaning heavily on Braden and hoping Zon Kuthan might somehow protect them. There are no after-action report notes about what happened there, but some time-stamping would lead you to believe that they worked on this quest for quite some time. And then by the end, you learn the proper phrase that allows you to use the Dreamlands excursion ritual to reach the city of Sarnath. The Ambassador's Heartstone. Lowell's learned that the mad poet has a deep, abiding interest in the soul, not necessarily in its journey or its destination, but as a commodity. And what better way to acknowledge that interest than a night hag's Heartstone? But it couldn't just be any hag. And he tasked Tima with learning about significant night hags. She uncovered the name of Quaviandra, whose Heartstone, according to legend, retains its magic for 1 month out of her possession, rather than 1 day. She found a register of extraplanar diplomats that lists the name of Quaviandra as an ambassador to the city of Dilath-Leen, a grim city of basalt, and one of the Dreamland's most notorious havens for vice. According to reports, Quaviandra travels with a large retinue of retainers and is a known catalyst of intrigue in the Dilath-Leen court. Notes in Tima's hand indicate that Vaticus uncovered the name of one of her favorite secret haunts, a drug den named Juzu. It's, Xuzu.
I love those X's.
It sounds like the party decided to rope some of her political allies into a deadly ambush there, and during the chaos that followed, the Triangle Man stole her Heartstone right off of her. And by the end, you learn the proper phrase to take you directly to this drug den in Dilath-Leen. Captain's Tricorn. Lowell discovered that the mad poet bore denizens of Leng some specific unknown ill will and took delight in learning of their suffering and humiliation. Lowell knew of one in particular he wanted to see brought low and asked Tima to research the pirate Captain Vedrak. She learned that Vedrak's longship, the Bloodwind, is a living vessel of dark wood with distinctive blood-red sails. Vic's already been climbing around these books. Reports from multiple sources can confirm that the Bloodwind can cross at will between the Dreamlands and the material plane, and Captain Vedrak is known to be relentless in pursuit of his victims, chasing them across the planar boundaries if necessary. Here's where we get to new information. Tima's notes indicate that Lowell instructed her to seduce Vedrak and then use her magic to restrain and humiliate him and steal his prized black tricorn hat. She was hesitant to do so at first, it seems, but when she learned from Lowell that Vedrak worked for Wherein, was essentially her right hand in the Dreamlands, she agreed to do so willingly, and she succeeded. And by the end, you learn the proper phrase to take you to the Bloodwind. And finally, Red Webbed Foot. Lowell discovered that the mad poet prized trophies from highly dangerous and unusual predators, as Dabbs learned. In the hunt for the rarest predator she could find information on, Tima learned of these creatures called womps. Bizarre aberrations with 9 legs, ending in webbed feet. Although womps are generally a pale gray color, the skin of their feet is dark red. A peculiarity of their biology is that they can only digest rotting flesh and tend to aggressively hunt the undead. Clusters of the creatures are whispered to haunt the underground regions near the Dreamland city of Arventon. A medical journal amongst this collection lists corpse pox, ghoul fever, and zombie rot as diseases that the carrion-eating womps can infect with their bites. The reader is advised to avoid cemeteries and necropolises where womps often congregate in large numbers. And then Tima's notes are thin to non-existent about any plan they may have had for this mission. There are some references to finding mercenaries with underground caving experience, but then those are actually scratched out with no follow-up. There's no reference at all to what happened when and if the crew went there. And putting pieces together, you might come up to with the conclusion that this was their last target, and it's not entirely clear if they even decided to pursue it. And by the end, you learn the last phrase you need to use the Dreamlands ritual to reach Arventon. You have all the information you need to know and the passwords to take you to their locations. That is the end of Chapter 101. We'll start adventuring next time. Amazing. Wow. Dark Nexus is produced by Plug and Hum Productions. This podcast uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Incorporated, used under Paizo's fan content policy. This podcast is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, please visit paizo.com. That's Paizo.com. Dark Nexus uses music and soundscapes by Syrinscape. Check them out at Syrinscape.com. That's Syrinscape.com. Opening and closing themes, along with additional music composed by Rob Kauzlaric. Artwork for Dark Nexus is by Matt Wahlquist. And thanks to DMCP, Richard and Ari, Paul and Shannon, Scotty, Jason, Jess, Joe, Chelsea, Matt, Dave, Derek, Darren, Michaela, J.H., the Biscuit Buddies, and everyone we've gamed with over the years for all the memories and inspiration.
Click the tab. Click the skills. Can you find skills?
Stop. Oh my God. Did you? Yes. Did you find them? Click the skills. Find the skills. Find the skills.
Are you looking on your sheet?
Are you even in
Have you
Roll20,
tried
bro?
turning it off and turning it on again?
Oh, I didn't mean to click tell me more. God damn it.